Welcome to the This Justin podcast by your host, Justin. And today we talk about the Brooklyn Nets once again. And I've been talking about the Nets for a while. And specifically, I'm not a Nets fan, but the Nets have been, arguably the most interesting team of 2021. And, that happens when they got Kyrie and Kevin Durant healthy. That happened when they acquired James Harden. And now, breaking news, they're looking to acquire Blake Griffin, and it's looking to be a solid deal soon as the Detroit Pistons, which technically Blake Griffin still signed to, once they buy out Blake Griffin becomes a free agent. He could sign wherever, and he's going to sign to the Brooklyn Nets. That's where he says he wants to sign. Now, wow. Listen, I had the Nets as the favorites with Kyrie and Kevin Durant alone. Because I looked at Kyrie and Kevin Durant along with the depth that they had, before they traded it all for James Harden. And, they traded it all, but they got James Harden. What is he? A former MVP, 30 point per game scorer. Now he's leading the league in assists. And, he's making, arguably an MVP. He's in that conversation now. And I've been honest, I don't think he wins it because of Joel Embiid. But he's putting himself in that conversation despite being traded and despite all the controversy regarding him. And you got these three together. And then you add a Blake Griffin. And, what amazes me is that people aren't talking about DeAndre Jordan too. Because Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan were old teammates back in the Clippers. And they're also very similar. They're both athletic guys that, you're going to see a Harden, a KD, a Kyrie try to lob it up to. Look at the starting lineup. It's really not Kyrie Irving at number one because James Harden now, they're making it a priority to give James Harden the basketball and, responsible for playmaking. So it's really James Harden at the number one, Kyrie Irving number two, number three would be Kevin Durant, number four is Blake Griffin, and number five is DeAndre Jordan. That is that is a ridiculously talented squad they have. And I'm being honest with you. I don't know if there's any team that can contend with this if they all stay healthy. Now, that's one thing. I know Blake Griffin is not someone you can rely on to stay healthy. He's been injury prone throughout his career. But for the most part, the other guys haven't. Maybe DeAndre Jordan every now and then. But I think we could trust Kevin Durant to stay healthy, Kyrie, Harden. So, listen, even if they lose one of these guys, obviously depending who it is. But even if they were, let's say worst case scenario, they lost Kevin Durant for the playoffs. I still think they could make the finals without him. And if he would have returned, they would win it. And obviously, if they don't have him, I doubt. But man, and it's not like Blake Griffin's having a great season. He's only averaging 12 points for the Detroit Pistons. He's looking a little washed per se, but you just look at the talent someone like Blake Griffin brings to the Nets. All that athleticism. He is a lob. They got him only so they could lob for him, and I'm sure he's gonna be effective in his role here. But man, I know I say it, but I think I look at the other teams. I tried to make a case for the Clippers. I tried to say, hey, I still think this Clippers team is it's got depth. It's got two stars that do have to show themselves in the playoffs, prove themselves in the playoffs. But I want to believe in them. I look at the Lakers. They're the defending champions, LeBron, AD, and they got obviously a talented and a lot of depth in their roster. But man, how do you beat this team without just injury and health concerns? So this is obviously I'm just imagining the offense. These guys, as if they weren't number one offense in the league. They acquired Blake Griffin. Oh my God. Wow. Now, I think Blake Griffin deserves some criticism from the fact that you're going to join the best team in the East. Where's your competitiveness, man? What are you doing? But, he wants to win a championship. Can I blame him? No. So, I'm going to be honest. The Brooklyn Nets are the favorites to me. And I also think acquiring Blake Griffin, even though Blake Griffin's not known as a defender, because he's just, he's long and he's got this athleticism, he's very capable of being a defender. And in a sense, that gives the Brooklyn Nets two guys they can put Anthony Davis on. The Brooklyn Nets could put either DeAndre Jordan or Blake Griffin on Anthony Davis, and they could probably do a decent job. Obviously, they're not going to lock him down, but they're going to do as decent of a job as anyone could. And we all know the Lakers, and I'm going to talk about it in the upcoming podcast, but, the Lakers, sometimes AD struggles in playoffs. There are games in where either the Lakers aren't getting him involved or, AD is just not aggressive enough. And listen, the Lakers are very beatable. And looking at it today, I would say that the Brooklyn Nets, as long as no injuries happen, at least to Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden, if no injuries happen, I say they win the championship this year.